What is going on YouTube and y'all squad? This is your boy Yakrates, and this is your review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is the reunion part 2 of season 4. Y'all can call it season 5 y'all want to, but it's season 4 over now. So we pick up where we left off, where the photo of the woman that was in Marcel's phone was a booty shot. And a question is posed: how did the photo get in your phone? Marceau says, I interviewed this girl, and out of the blue, she sent me this picture. So then Kiki shares that he responded a midday work surprise. And at first, he tried to deny that that was his response, but both Kiki and T like, no, 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 that's what you said. He was like, okay, then maybe that is what I said. Like, dude, just shut up. So then he's asked, why did she feel comfortable to send that picture? And then he does this stuttering, which lets you know that he's about to lie, and says, well, women send that to my DMs all the time. That ain't what is being asked of you, because if this was, I think they said 14 years ago, I don't think IG was a thing back then. And if it was in its infancy stages, and this was on his phone, and it is see, and from how I understood it, he reacted like he ha-ha'd it. And honestly, I don't remember, like, I don't think iPhones had that ability in text messages, and maybe Androids did, to where you can, like, I know we can do that now, that you could respond. Might have been on another social media platform, but the fact that it was in his phone, so you kind of screenshot it or whatever, don't really know, but it was there for her to see. Whatever. But he's saying, oh, they send into my DMs all the time. Cool. Because in him saying that, like, well, it happens all the time. So, but here's the thing: this woman had your number, so why does she feel comfortable to send this to your personal number? And he didn't want to answer that. Uh-huh. So Wanda says she knew nothing about this incident, and she feels away. And I really hope Wanda don't come back, because I still, anyway. Tisha is asked about Kiki being on the show, and she says she knew that she was going to be filming with Melody, but she didn't know what the contents of the filming were going to be about. She didn't think it was going to be about her. Kiki responds, you knew, because I told you, and no one will make me out to be a liar. Wanda says to Kiki that you're not supposed to talk about your family. Kiki is like, okay, and you're not supposed to talk about your niece, meaning her, but pretty much you did. So then Kimmy is asked what was said at the Christmas little celebration. And Kimmy says that, okay, well, Kiki did start it outside, and Kiki's like, run, like, pull the footage, and based off the footage, even though we don't know how the conversation started, but you do clearly see Kiki talking about her relationship with Tisha. So in this instance, hey, Kimmy was right on you, Kiki. So Marceau wants to know, when they share Kiki's business with the Holt, what about Kiki's addiction? Was it a laughing matter? And Mel says yes. Martell says he honestly doesn't remember. And Kiki is asked, does she believe Marceau joked? And she says, um, the Marceau I know wouldn't. And we even see that Kiki and Tisha are trying to get back to where they once were. But what I'm going to say is, even with a situation such as this, and Marceau was the one that said it, right? But you have Letitia that is standing beside her husband. So you're literally taking all these bullets for your husband when you weren't the one that said it at the same exact time. If it was imperative that the Holtz knew, y'all should have went to Kiki and said, hey, Kiki, we found out that you were invited. We feel that it is imperative that you let the Holtz know what it is that you were going through, because even though she had said that she was done with her rehab, her rehab at that particular point, Kiki did admit there was a point before the rehab that she was, going through people's medicine cabinets, stealing their prescription drugs, this, that, and the third. So it should have been, since this is your business, I feel that you need to let them know. Now, if you don't, I am going to say something, because I don't want this to end up coming out and then we're looked at crazy because we knew something and didn't share it. It should have been framed that way, because again, Kiki did say this is her story to tell. So now we get to Wanda and Mel. And Mel is asked about the Madani altercation. Now, Mel says the conversation started with her talking to Bernard, and then Wanda chimed in. And one is like, that's not how it happened. But again, based on the footage, it is. But I did want Mel to admit that her intent in walking over there initially was to check Wanda. But, whatever. So Wanda, so I already said how Wanda recalls things, and that's not exactly what's happened. Um, I'm sorry, and then Wanda recalls how she remembers things and what she said about the kids. Martell and Mel felt Wanda was talking about their youngest child. Um, okay, and then Carlos says to Wanda, even though the comment was on your live, I had to hold you accountable because if the problem is between adults, why not leave it there? Now, what I'm going to say, hold on, wait. Okay, no, and then Martell is asked, have you ever questioned the paternity of your child? He says no. And Maurice pretty much was saying in a roundabout way, if Martell would have never brought any of this information to light, meaning on Dr. Heavenly's show, then we wouldn't even be here for it to be used against him. Now, I'm going to be very, very honest. I do not feel like going back to watch Wanda's live to get the specific play by play. I don't feel like doing it. I ain't got the time to do. Okay, I didn't already set up and watch 3 episodes of this back to back to back. I ain't got that to do. But I do recall that, and I don't even feel like going back to watch Dr. Heavenly's interview with Martell. But I do recall that Martell was alluding to him not knowing the paternity of a child, but he was referring to the child that Melody decided that she didn't want. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't know exactly where I left off, but I believe I was talking about the respective lives and whatnot. But yes, Martell was talking about Melody choosing to not keep a child and him questioning if he was the father of that particular child, and then Wanda using that as her basis, and I guess not understanding what he meant, and in that sense was just like, well, what about your baby daddy? But the context of that was, and I guess I'm gonna just hopscotch up. Because Wanda said what she said. She said that because Melody was on the nightcap with Carlos and she had made mention of Letitia's father, Wanda's husband, being in her DMs. And, talking about Wanda's baby's father. So that is why she made a jab and did the whole baby father thing, right? But with Mel, this has been, accumulating over time, especially with the comment of Wanda talking about, the quality of the children's hair. So so literally it's compounded, right? Now, do I in particular feel that Wanda was talking about Melody's children? No. But it's one of those things where, because even though she's not directly talking about their youngest child, she's alluding, or she's kind of like hinting at something that involves that child, which means that yes, as that child gets older, that can be used against her, right? But did she specifically like come for the child? No, she did not. If we just keep it a buck. But I've already told y'all, if this is y'all speaking, if I'm at war, ain't nothing off limits. I'm sorry, y'all call me whatever you want to call me. I'm just keeping it a buck with you, right? Cool. So, see if I can find my place here. So then Tisha feels, it's both Wanda and Mel's fault. And though this may be true, this is literally nothing but Tisha, somewhat, holding her mother to the fire without fully doing it. Now, again, I did go back and start watching season 1. I didn't come in until season 3, the last season, when I was doing reviews. Which, so for me to start doing season 3, I had to go ahead and watch seasons 1 and 2. So it's one of those where it was a real quick and then get into it. So though a lot of things were fresh, it's, just hurry up and binge watching it. So a lot of things don't necessarily stick. It's different when you're reviewing a show week to week, and a lot of these things do stick with you, and you really do have the facts of line. You can literally go back down the timeline. Don't have that, can't do that, right? But with this, I do believe that Wanda started this stuff between her and Melody. So with this, is it should have been like, you know what? Though both of them are at fault, ultimately my mother is wrong and she started this. That's a way that she could have said it. But your mother is dead wrong. Anyway, Marceau is trying to explain Wanda's thoughts process and says that Mel took what she heard and spun it. Now, did Melody do that? Yes, she did. But my thing is, and this is one thing that I hate. I hate when people try to explain away somebody else's actions or what they were thinking or what they were feeling. Because my thing is, let that person talk. I don't need you to explain. Because if they don't have the words, the vocabulary, the bandwidth, the wherewithal to be able to sit here and say it to me, then keep me and everything dealing with me out your mouth. But if you gonna say it, then you tell me. Don't have none of your associates or whatever saying no. No, you tell me. And Wanda is sitting on the stage. So Carlos brings up, what Tiffany said about Maurice's child. I'm not calling him by that nickname, only because I do believe that words have meanings, names have meanings, and I'm not calling that child that, because if that child does end up to become what they have nicknamed him, no, I'm not contributing to that. And I don't know the young man's name, so I can't say it. But what she said, and the Carlos whole thing is, all of y'all held her accountable, but y'all are making this exceptions for Wanda, which is true. But from where I stand, technically she did not speak on the youngest child. It was one of those, like, again, it was alluded to and whatnot, but she didn't really just speak on the child. I'm just saying. We can agree to disagree. Kimmy Maurice wants to know who is y'all. Carlos says everyone on the stage. Kimmy says, to speak for myself, I've said Wanda does the most, but this had nothing to do with Martell, but everything to do with the rumors. Partially, yes, and I get what she's saying. And what she was trying to say is, all Wanda was saying is she was repeating rumors. Yeah, you're giving life to it, so yeah, you're going to be held accountable for it. But she was also alluding to something that Martell said in an interview. So again, that's a half truth, Kimmy. So then Carlos brings up Martell reaching out to Marceau's son to clear up the whole 20, girlfriends comment, and how it was indirectly affecting him. But with that, Marceau wasn't happy about his son kind of being made to shoot a scene that he wasn't there for. He didn't know about, whoop, wop, wham. So Carlos is upset that the energy, isn't present for this particular situation. So Tisha says she told her mother she was wrong. Carlos says it took you a minute, and I'm glad he said that. He was like, and then it's also when you address it, it's a but there. So Mel feels Carlos is making good points. Martell wants to know why Carlos doesn't have the same passion or same energy and emotions that he has had for Marceau's children. This isn't the first time that they have talked about, my kids like their hair. Carlos gets in his bag and says, you have never brought this to me. You talk. Now, and I put here in my notes, Carlos, even though they never talked to you about it, there's a lot of stuff that Carlos has talked about, whether it be on the reunions or on his podcast or even on his nightly show, that no one necessarily has to bring up, but it's stuff that he's privy to, and it be messy things. So does someone really have to come to you and talk to you about something? Because his whole thing is, I'm not a parent. And let's be clear, in some situations you do have to somewhat be in that mode to understand, but you don't always. You feel me? And it's just because, again, me hearing an adult talk about another child's hair and comparing their hair to this quality of hair and this, that, and the third, yeah, I'm going to have a problem with that, because why are you speaking on a child like that? Like, that's not cool. I don't have to have a kid to know that's not right. That's not appropriate. Nevertheless, but I think the reason that he didn't want to talk about it, because let's be clear, for them to have that conversation means that now we're going to have to talk about featureism. Because literally, you have one talking about the features of her grandchildren compared to Melody and Martell's children. And to talk about featureism will eventually lead us into colorism. And we've already seen how he dealt with that on Bell Collective. And it was a real wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, on to the very next thing. Like, we didn't even really sit there enough for us to really have a conversation about it. So it's almost like you're not really well equipped to have that conversation. So it feels like to me, Carlos King, that you didn't bring that up because you knew where that conversation would eventually lead us, and that's not what you're trying to do because again, you live for the mess and the shade and the petty. But he says to Marceau, he's not a parent, but when y'all brought the current issue to me, I handled it. You have emailed me, you have called me about a lot of things, have you not? Martell says yes. He's like, when the both of you came to me about this, that is when I said for the show, we need to, address it so that we can move on. Wanda gives a social apology. Mel ain't accepting it because why does it take you being given a moment right now on this stage when there's been enough time and now you want to offer me an apology? And even with that, Wanda ain't taking any accountability. So why are we even doing this? And I guess we're all going to also forget that Wanda tried to, sneak Melody, but okay. Wait, what? Uh, and then it was a question of, why would Mel go live before she was going to confront Wanda? And though this was never discussed, I have a intuition, not into, I have a feeling as to why all of this started on live. When it came to Wanda sitting here, talking about the kids, and then, Wanda's brother talking about, he got the chopper, this, that, and the third. So since all of this happened on social media, when I come and check you, it's gonna be on social media. I think that was why. I could be wrong. And if Melody sees this video, hey, you can let me know. So there's a lot of talking over each other. Maurice says, what Kimmy is going through, I thought will bring everybody together. Tomorrow is not promised. And when I heard that, when I tell you I did about threw something in my damn TV, like, hold, like, cause I'm sorry, I don't like when people do that. Where it's like, oh, well, somebody going through something traumatic should, bring us together. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. And I hate when somebody gets sick or somebody dies. Like, man, life is short. We know life is short. We know it's fleeting. We know that you can be here today, going tomorrow. We know all of this stuff. And I hate that people use that as a reason to just move past something without taking the time to actually do the work, have tough conversations, hold people accountable, acknowledge things, accept accountability for what you've done to contribute, so there is a shared understanding so you can effectively move past it without always having to go back to the past. But no, Rich is gonna let it go because yeah, this person died, and and life just too short to be. I don't subscribe to that. Okay, I don't. Hell, one of my siblings and I had a conversation, and that came up on Monday and last Monday, and he got mad because it was like, so you just gonna stand 10 toes down? Like, yes, yes. I don't give a damn that somebody sick. I don't give a damn if somebody died. I don't give a fuck if somebody dead. That is not going to change what is going on here. I'm not going to let that be the reason that, you know what, I'm going to just forgive all the years of what you did. I'm going to forget the abuse, verbal, mental, whatever. No, not me. Anyway, in the words of James, let me get off my soapbox. Boom, boom, bam. So Stormy and Destiny join. And then we talk about Stormy versus Destiny. Stormy is asked, why were you offended by what Destiny said? She said she wasn't offended by what she said, but it was the energy. Another question, Stormy, do you think Destiny is aggressive? She says no, and if she's aggressive, then I'm aggressive. So then Destiny is asked, what happened that made y'all go low? And Destiny said, because she kept asking me the same question, and that is what really upset me. Destiny and Stormy, they're good. So Carlos says that the fans have tweeted saying that, love and marriage is not love and hip hop. Why is Stormy here? She's ghetto. The show is becoming ratchet because Stormy is on it. No, the show is becoming ghetto. Uh, I'm sorry. Wanda is ghetto. The show is becoming ratchet, not because of Stormy, but because of Wanda. Now, yes, did Stormy come in with a certain energy? Yes, she did. But we not finna act like Wanda wasn't doing this before. Okay. And I'm not even a Stormy. Actually, I'm not a fan of. The only person that I used to be a fan of was Kimmy, but because Kimmy likes to move the goalposts when it comes to her relationship with Maurice, I I I just it's just one of those where I just review the show now, so it is what it is. But I'm not a Stormy fan, but I'm just saying all roads lead back to Wanda. So Stormy says, people just look at one scene, but they don't look at the totality, which is true, and unfortunately, we can only go off what they give us, and we do understand that for what little bit we see, they've shot so much more, and a lot of stuff gets left on the cutting room floor. We know that. And she says, we all have moments where we aren't who we are the majority of the time. And, she was sad about that and whatnot because, people are not seeing her for who she is, but it's understandable. But she does make a point how you're a certain way 95% of the time, but hey, when you have your bad day or somebody decide they want to sit here and pull your whole car, well then yeah, you gonna come out of character. Well, not out of character. You'll show a part of yourself that you don't show often, and typically when you do that, that is the version of you that people want to harp on and not who you've been 95% of the time. So Carlos says social media has demanded that Destiny be fired because she doesn't share her life. You're in a relationship and yet there's a pillow next to you instead of a man. Now look, when I tell y'all I nearly about fell off the couch. Cause I'm just like Carlos. Oh, like it's one of those where it was meant to be shady and petty. Like, cause there's a way that he could have said it where it's just, but he said it with the intent, and also because he is, the executive producer, he can get away with saying that. I think Mel is the only one that's willing to challenge him. Nevertheless, he says the people want to know why are you here and you're not in marriage or in love. She was like, "How do you know I'm not in love? I am in love." And then it says based off of how she came on the show, she wanted to discuss the matters between her and her now ex-husband, but she couldn't. Now, I believe that she had said that there wasn't a gag order, that it was just a mutual, she wasn't going to discuss it. And if that's the case, it's probably because if you discuss it, then I'm probably not gonna help you out, whatever, whatever. I don't know, but who cares? Um, but she says, next season you will see more. And Carlos says for the 30 episode season, it wasn't on display, and it looks like Kimmy and Tisha are having to pull things out of you. And producers have said that you're difficult. And Destiny says there were moments she was, emotional and whatnot, but it wasn't aired. And it's one of those things where though you may have these moments, yes, they're not going to sometimes. And if it doesn't contribute to the overarching, storyline or vision that the producers have, it won't be aired. But that is also why you see with a lot of other reality TV shows where people do their best to be in a lot of group scenes because at least you're in this scene. But if you shoot a solo scene, if it's not given anything or the producers really can't use it, yes, it's not going to be shown. And again, this was a 30 episode season. I don't know why, but whatever. So all right, and then there was a little exchange between Kimmy and Destiny, but I'll pick it up in the next episode. So with that being said, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you all in a minute. Peace.